Hello, this is Algebra, topic 7-3, talking about the quadratic formula. So before we get into what the quadratic formula is, let's go ahead and just review. We want to solve this by factoring. So go ahead and break down to the box method, where we have x squared and 15. Then we have our sum and our product. Well, our sum, hold on, I need to subtract 15 from both sides. So that makes x squared plus 2x minus 15. So this will be a negative 15. So my sum would be the 2x. My product would be negative 15x squared. So if I break down 15, well, I know 5 and 3 make 15. Since I need it to be negative 15, I'm making a negative 3. Because 5x minus 3x is 2x. And so to get x squared is simply x times x. X times 5 will give me 5x. And x times negative 3 will give me negative 3x. And negative 3 times 5 will give me negative 15. So this means that x plus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. So x plus 5 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. If I subtract 5 from both sides, I get that x equals negative 5. And if I add 3 to both sides, I get that x equals 3. And so here I have that x equals negative 5 and x equals 3. Just reviewing 7.1 and 7.2 right here. Well, there's an alternate way to solve. The alternate way is using the quadratic formula. If we have our quadratic in standard notation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then we can use this formula to solve. So let's go ahead and do the same problem, but this time we're going to use the quadratic formula. Well, there's no number in front of x, so that means that a is 1. B would be 2, and C would be negative 15. So we have negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5 all over 2 times 1. Now, I'm not going to put all this in the calculator at once. I want to break this down into several pieces. So first I'm going to, this piece right here, negative 2 makes just negative 2 plus or minus the square root. And I'll put everything in the square root into the calculator. So over here in my calculator, I'm going to put 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5. That's everything that's up here. When I do that, I get 24. Oh, hold up. I have a small error. It's not negative 5. It's negative 15. And I get 64. Thought that was looking a little off. So I get 64. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Well, the square root of 64 is 8. And so I'm going to rewrite this as negative 2 plus 8 over 2 and negative 2 minus 8 all over 2. Just taking this, replacing the square root of 64 with 8. So now negative 2 plus 8 would be 6 over 2, which equals 3. And negative 2 minus 8 would be negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. And so I get x equals negative 5 and 3. How do we compare? Well, up here it's also negative 5 and 3. How do they compare? They are the same. So this formula is very handy, very nice to use. You may prefer this formula over factoring. Or you may prefer factoring, it just depends. But now we're going to go ahead and move to number 3. So we plug in our numbers. I have negative 2 for A, negative 4 for B, and 3 for C. So we start plugging these in. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 3 all over 2 times negative 2. I'm just taking the formula from the first page and plugging it in. Let me go ahead and go over this side by side if I can. So we have negative b, so I have negative, and then b was negative 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so I put negative 4 in parentheses and squared it, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. Well, let's go ahead and solve this. Well, negative 4 is just a positive 4, plus or minus the square root. I'm going to put everything that's in the square root in parentheses. So negative 4 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 3. And when I do this, I get 40. All over 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Well, the square root of 40, since 40 is not a perfect square, it's about 6.325. So that's what I'm going to use. So now I have 4 plus 6.325 all over negative 4. And 4 minus 6.325 all over negative 4. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the calculator as well. So I'm going to put my tops in parentheses because I want to make sure that happens first. 4 plus 6.325 over negative 4 gives me negative 2.581. On my other one, I have the same thing. So I'll do second entry to pull up the same thing and change it to a minus. And it gives me 0.581. So 0.581. Now, what's great about the quadratic formula is that this would not have factored. I'm approximating this because this is an irrational number. And so the quadratic formula can still give us answers even when factoring would not. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. So fill these in. A is 2, B is 3, C is negative 2. So we have negative B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Well, that's negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, go ahead and plug all of that in. So 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 2 gives me 25. All over 2 times 2 is 4. Well, the square root of 25 is 5. So it's negative 3 plus 5 all over 4. And negative 3 minus 5 all over 4. So negative 3 plus 5 over 4 gives me 0.5. And negative 5 minus 5 over 4 gives me negative 2. So x equals 0.5 and negative 2. Now, this one would have factored, so you could have done the box method to choose to get the answer here, or you could use quadratic formula. Today I want you to use quadratic formula, and later, like on the tests and things, you can decide if you would choose between this or factoring. Let's go ahead and move to our last problem. Here we have a is 6, b is negative 3, and c is 7. And so we have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times 6 times 7 all over 2 times 6. Well, negative 3 is a positive 3 plus or minus the square root. Let me go ahead and plug this in. Negative 3 squared minus 4 times 6 times 7 gives me negative 159 all over 2 times 6 is 12. Now I want you to notice we have a negative sign right here. That negative sign means that there is no solution. The reason is I can't take the square root of a negative number. If I try in my calculator the square root of negative 159, it gives me a non-real answer error because there are no answers to this problem. Okay? So sometimes not even the quadratic formula can give you the answer because sometimes the answer just doesn't exist. So quadratic formula, over the course of this you may memorize it. It will always be available to you on a formula chart or write it up on the board. So you don't need to memorize it, but you do need to know how to use it. So good luck on your assignment and have a good day.